This show is brought to you by Victor Naraki Realtor, experienced real estate agent serving Disney and the greater Orlando area of CelebratingFlorida.com. Have you ever dreamed of living where the magic happens? Victor Naraki has made that dream come true for himself and others. One of the biggest decisions you'll make when considering a move is selecting a realtor who can successfully match you with the right home in the right location at the right price. If you're looking to buy or sell in the Orlando area, here's why Victor is the realtor you'll want in your corner. Victor knows the Disney area like the back of his house. By creating a free, no-obligation account on his website, CelebratingFlorida.com, you'll unlock the website's full potential and be able to enter specific criteria, save listings, and browse new properties sent to your email. Is it time to follow your dream? Victor is looking forward to helping you discover the real estate opportunities that are right for you in this beautiful and fun-filled part of Florida. Visit CelebratingFlorida.com today or view Victor's view at VictorsVista.com and let Victor know the Solo Show sent you.
Welcome to Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. Let's put on the show.
My goodness, you're all staring at us. We better start the show rolling.
Broadcasting from the Solo Studios in the back room of Grief Karga's Navarro Lounge here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, the center of North America, on this little planet we call Earth, this is the Solo Show. On this adventure, Stan welcomes Mary T. Wells to the guest host's chair as they discuss the finer points of dining at Disney. Yum. So grab a snack because this show is not suitable for people who get hungry easily. So now, please welcome your host, the man who puts the man in Mandalorian. Here's Stan Solo.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Solo Show. I am Stan Solo as always, and I am here with a guest our co-host, not saying guest, he's my co-host today. We've been trying to get together for over a year now doing the Solo Show. She's been listening to us since day one, at least I think she has. She is a big fan of the Grand Circle Tour podcast as well. So welcome to the show, Mary T. Wells. How are you today?
I'm great, Stan. Glad to be here finally. I think it did take us a year to get this going, so I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I wanted to do a trip report with you, and I wanted to talk something dining with you because I know you're a big fan of the dining plan.
I am. Of course, we don't have that right now, but I am a fan of the dining plan. I like to make it work for us.
Yeah, and I sometimes I get the dining plan, sometimes I don't. It all depends on what type of trip I'm doing. If I'm going by myself, I usually don't. If I'm going with family, then I'll get it, I find. But we're not talking dining plan. We're going to talk about some of our personal favorite memories while dining, whether it be because of the company we had or the cast member service we had or the location or some extra magic we may have got. I don't know. My list is kind of all over the place. How is your list like that too?
I think so, a little bit. I think a lot of it's probably cast members for me, but there's other stuff in here too. So
okay,
mine's
mostly the company I was with on that particular meal is what I went with. Mine aren't in any particular order, but I have to put them in some sort of order. I guess I could have went chronologically. That would have made sense. They're just random.
Mine are pretty random. Mine are random. I mean, I started grouping them together by location because there's kind of a theme to mine. But
okay. Before we get into this, Mary, as I think everyone listening here on this show knows Mary, I would imagine. How did you get into Disney?
Well, I grew up going to Disney with my grandfather. He would take me every year to go to visit my great aunt, and we would go to Disney, and my grandmother and her sister would visit. So that's how I got started into Disney, and then just continued going as an adult. I went on my honeymoon with Steve in 2000. We've been 43 times since 2000.
Holy cow. That's a lot. And you're not local to the Disney parks either. You're...
No, I live in Maryland and usually have an annual pass and our DVC. So we utilize DVC. It worked out well for us.
Yeah, that's great. And I was lucky enough to meet Mary at one of my trips. We were able to meet up at Magic Kingdom for a bit, and we actually went for dinner. Speaking of dinner.
Yep, speaking of dinner.
And Mary had some extra credits on her dining plan, and it was the end of her night or her trip pretty much, and she said, "Say, Stan, you want to come?" And that makes me think, was it worth to get the dining plan? You ended up throwing away credits to some stranger.
You weren't a stranger now.
No.
It was. I mean, I'll do the math and I make sure it works because I tend to order the most expensive thing on them anyway. So it works for us.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I hope they bring it back. How about you?
I do too. I think they will. I just, with all the limitations right now.
Yeah.
Not right
I'm
now,
afraid if they bring it back, there's going to be less of a value to it.
they'll probably raise the price.
They'll probably raise the price. They'll probably offer less. Because it used to be an amazing deal. You used to get your appetizer, your meal, and your dessert, and your drink. Then they got rid of the appetizer.
Well, you remember when it included the tip too?
Yes, and included the tip as well before. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a deal. But
So we're going to do our top 7. We may have some bonus ones in there, or at least Mary will, I'm imagining. So Mary,
it was tough.
Yeah, so you can go first. What is your first one?
Okay. Well, since I said we're DVC, I kind of start with my home resort, which is Beach Club Villas, and one of my favorite places there is Beaches and Cream. And of course,
Okay.
they remodeled it, recently, and it was closed normally we go in September, and it was closed in last September. And so then we went in January when we were staying in our other home, which is Animal Kingdom. And, it was the refurb. So they had made it, bigger, which is nice because it was small.
It was tiny, yeah.
Tiny. And I imagine it's helpful. It's bigger now. So we were there, and we had a server that I did not know, but she was very nice because some of the servers I kind of know.
You go a lot when you know the servers.
Yes. So we're sitting there, and
Mary walks in. It's like Norm at Cheers. Mary!
There's a restaurant that's like that for us. So it's beautiful. I mean, they did a nice job with the refurb. They have some new, like those specialty shakes with the crazy things on top, and but it's fun. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting there, and this waitress, and I don't remember her name, which is so terrible, but I would recognize her. She runs over and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to see you." She was so excited to see us because she had been working, I guess, somewhere else during the refurb and was back. And so I should know her name, but I just don't. But she was so glad to see us. And she was, telling me things about the restaurant that they did and the new food and everything. So that was a lot of fun. And it's kind of our tradition to go there on our check-in day, and usually one other time. But it's a nice place, good food. And
that's a quick service, is it? Is it not?
No, it's a table service.
It's a table service?
It's, where they have the kitchen sink. And
yeah.
So it's not a great
Can you get just takeout as well? Or because I seem to recall going there once long time ago.
Long time ago, you could come in and get takeout food and ice cream. But now it's just ice cream, and it's a little bit more limited. But that's where the kitchen sink is. And it's not a great use of your dining plan, though, because it's not real expensive. So I recommend using that. But it and you can just go in and get the ice cream if you want.
That's what we did. My daughter and I, we went. We just picked up the ice cream there, and it was pouring rain. And it was at night, but I wanted to try it, so we did it.
Yeah, it's and the atmosphere is cool. It's got ice cream stuff. Seats are cute, and there's music playing.
Yeah, they
did a nice job.
Soda pop shop type thing.
Yes.
Now, for people that don't know, what's a kitchen sink? I know, but maybe someone else.
Oh, the kitchen sink. So it looks like a sink. It's I think it's 7 scoops of ice cream and a brownie. I know there's a whole can of whipped cream because when they bring it out, they make a big deal, flash the lights, and say, and a whole can of whipped cream. It has every topping and
sparklers. And
yeah.
It's a lot. It doesn't have a whole jar of cherries, maraschino cherries or something like that.
I think so, and a brownie, and I mean it's I can't.
It's for a family to share,
and I've seen families have a lot of trouble with it.
Have you ever gotten it?
No, we've gotten the smaller one, the mini kitchen sink that was plastic, and even that the ice cream scoops they give you. I mean it's a lot of ice cream.
Oh yeah, I got to try that one day. I'll try the mini one. I don't think I could ever do the sing. I'd have to have a bunch of COVID-free people with me to do the big one. That's a great one. That's a good one for sure. For mine, it's kind of a lump one. It's dining on the Disney Cruise Lines. That's kind of mine. And Mary, you've gone on cruises.
Yes.
And it is amazing the service you get because you have a waiter and you have a person that brings you the drinks. What are they called?
Oh, there's a name for them, but
there's a name for it.
There is.
But they're the ones that impress me because you go the first night and say I order a ginger ale with a cherry in it. The next night, there's a ginger ale with a cherry in it waiting at your table when you get there. I don't know what you do if you want something else. You order something else.
They'll bring it.
Yeah, and I find I'm not sure. Do you find this, Mary, that the food is better the first day, and by the end of the week, it's still good, but it's like you're kind of like, I'm ready for home cooking?
Yeah, I think it's just in the beginning you're so excited.
Yeah.
It's your memory of it is better and it's new. But I agree, the service there is amazing. I know in my experience, they come entertain your child, like, the kid eats and then they get a little antsy and, you're kind of sitting there relaxing and they'll come and make ketchup out of Mickey, make Mickey ears out of the ketchup and fold the napkin. And, they kind of sense when, you want to like eat your dessert and the kids about had it and keep them busy.
One of my favorite stories to tell is I like to always on the first day I order a Mickey bar for dessert. And it doesn't matter if it's on the menu or not, they'll bring it to you.
Yes.
So I order a Mickey bar for dessert. So then the next night, I don't want a Mickey bar again. But they automatically bring my ginger ale with the cherry in it. They automatically brought me a Mickey bar on the plate. And they put confetti on it, like not real confetti, like edible confetti. So I'm like, well, I kind of wanted like something off the menu tonight. And he goes, oh, that's okay. You could, have this as well.
Have that too.
So you're full by the time you eat your entree, your meal, and your dessert. You don't have room for a Mickey bar. But they said, take it with you. So he gave me a plate and a lid. So you bring it back to your room. There's no freezer in the room.
No.
So I put it in the fridge. And I put the fridge as cold as it could be. Yeah. And then I go off to a show. And after the show, I go see a movie. It's about 2 a.m. I get back to I'm in the elevator. I got a Mickey bar waiting for me when I get back to my room. And I drank it as soon as I got back to my room.
Oh my gosh, you drank it. Now, see, you could have called room service and had them bring you a new one.
I could have. But the War Mickey bar was very tasty.
Okay.
All right. What's your number 2 there, Mary?
So I'm going to kind of stay in my home resort area and talk about Allen Compass, which used to be, the Yacht Club Galley. And I guess last September in 2019, Beach Club, the Beach and Cream was being refurbished. So we went to Allen Compass on our arrival day, and that had just recently been refurbished. And he did a nice job. It's, pretty. So we had an amazing server. His name was Miguel. And, he knew we were on the deluxe plan. So he's suggesting certain things and telling us to upgrade this. And, he's helping us maximize our value because this was lunch. So, the prices are a little less. Mm-hmm. So they have this, they had this buffalo cauliflower, which I'm not huge.
I've heard of this.
Buffalo can be really too spicy for me, but I like a little spicy. Mm-hmm. And I love cauliflower. It was amazing. I don't know. It was really good. And then they have Parker House rolls and spreads with bacon jam and pub cheese. Really good too. And then, I just got a grilled cheese and tomato soup. Of course, I added bacon, but I don't know. It was Steve got a steak and he loved it. The desserts were amazing, but I think a lot of it was the server. He was just, not annoying you, but attentive. And, he had great suggestions about what to get and what we should try. They had probably only been open for maybe a couple months when we went, from the rehab, and it was just excellent. And it's quiet over there. It's not a real busy place, but it's nice.
Okay, I got to confess. I told Mary before we started that I can't be on for very long because I got to go make supper. And that means I haven't eaten yet. I can tell you right now that was a mistake. Because I really want to try that buffalo cauliflower because I've seen pictures of it and everyone I talked to said it was so good.
It really was.
Oh, man. Okay. This was a mistake. I'm starving now.
Can't talk about food.
But you're right, though. The cast members can definitely make a difference on your dining experience, that's for sure. And for the most part, they're awesome.
Yes.
I'm going to go to a quick service spot for my number 2. Going down to Epcot, and this is our very first trip. I went with my daughter. She was 15 at the time and not the best eater. She was kind of like a chicken nuggets and chicken burgers type of person. Burgers and fries, chicken nuggets. That was what she liked. But we went to the Yorkshire fish shop, and she's never eaten fish that she liked. Like I would always, growing up, I always say to her, at least give it a try. And if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it. And got to a point by the time she was 15, she said, okay, I don't really have to try it anymore because I know I don't like it. But I did talk about the trip for about a year before we went, and all the research I was doing and reading all the guides and all the, the DIS boards were big for me for researching for restaurants and whatnot. And to my shock, she actually grabbed a piece. I ordered one serving. And you get the 3 little fishes. Yep. I'm thinking she'll have some of the fries, but she actually grabbed one of the fish, and I was kind of like surprised she grabbed it, and she took a bite out of it. She goes, wow, this is really good. And I'm like, wow. I said to her, I'm surprised you're eating this. This is like one of our first meals at Walt Disney World, our very first trip, and she goes, well, you've been talking about how good the food is there for the past year. I got to try everything. And she did the whole trip. She tried everything. It was quite, I mean, she's still back to being a finicky eater, but.
Sure. But hey, that's great. I mean,
yeah. And it was just kind of like a wow moment for me. And I got to say, I think that Epcot day as a whole was probably one of my favorite days ever, with just myself and my daughter on our very first trip. That was kind of what really sold me on Walt Disney World, was that whole day. But that meal was something kind of surprising for me.
Yeah, because you know how kids, if they're picky, you can't force them to eat certain things.
Yeah. But that whole trip, she kept that attitude, and she did really, really well the entire time. Awesome. So what's your number 3?
All right, let's see. So I'm going to stay still in my geographical area, and we gotta mention Cape May Cafe. This will be my last.
I haven't tried this one.
We're covering all the beach club eateries, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So Cape May Cafe has, of course not right now, but normally they have a buffet breakfast and a clam bake dinner. I've been to both. The clam bake dinner, I could take or leave. I mean, it's great. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the foods they have. You know, they got crab legs and all that. I can skip most of that.
Love crab
breakfast.
Oh man.
Okay, well, see, we'll take you to dinner there.
All right. I really want to try that place. I heard good things.
It's great, and you know, we love it again because we own a beach club. So there's like old style umbrellas around the edge of the restaurant that you see when you walk out to the pool. And there's old, like, 1930s style swimsuits on the wall in frames. Cool. And, you know, some other old style props from that area. But the characters are at breakfast. And, you know, we're not early people. So I tend to book breakfast at, like, 10:45 or 10:55. You know,
yes, that's true. I know that about you.
You know that about me. But when you do that, you know, the character handlers, I find, there are the best. They always check, you know, have everybody come around and see you, which they should do. But at this particular restaurant, I don't know why, I seem like if you have a late breakfast, you get those characters a couple times. And they tend to be very playful at the end of breakfast. So, you know, Goofy's going around and, like, he'll steal your plate of Mickey waffle. You know, he'll be doing crazy things, or they'll be together dancing, because it's, you know, Goofy's usually there, and then Minnie. You know, sometimes they switch a bit, and Pluto. So, but it's just a fun atmosphere. And there's a server that we know that is actually friends with another server at another restaurant that we know, and he's very nice. So it's, you know, a couple servers know us, and it's just, you know, one of our.
I'm going to go off of that and make my next one. I'm going to switch mine around a little bit. But speaking of the character interactions, the Garden Grill restaurant is one that was on my wife and I's 25th wedding anniversary. It was her first trip to Walt Disney World. And we went to the Garden Grill, and this was the night before Hurricane Irma was coming. Oh. And there was nobody at Walt Disney World. It was basically empty. Epcot was empty. The restaurant was empty. Like, where we were sitting, you know how Garden Grill is like that rotating restaurant, so it has a curve to it. We couldn't see any other guests where we were sitting. We were the only ones in sight. Wow. So the characters, it got to be, like, they would come around for a long time and often. So it got to be to a point where, okay, Chip and Dale, can we just eat now? But they were sitting down and visiting with us. I mean, they do that normally, but it was like for a long time. They had nowhere else to go, but because we were the only ones there. So it was really a fun experience. And my wife was really nervous and upset about the hurricane coming. I mean, we're from the Canadian prairies. We don't know much about hurricanes at all. This was a snowstorm, we know what to do, but a hurricane, we don't know what to expect. And it was like kind of the first time in a couple of days that my wife really enjoyed herself. Like, she really kind of forgot about the hurricane. It was really just into the dining experience. And she went to go to the restroom, and I said to Mickey, I said, you know, Mickey, I says, my wife's very worried about the hurricane coming. We're from Canada. We don't experience them, but you guys really put a smile on our face. And I could almost see Mickey crying, Mickey's friend crying from just me telling him that. But Mickey excused himself, and it was a kind of a touching moment.
And the food there is great too, because that's one of my, not on my list, but should have been. I mean,
I'm surprised because I know you like that place so much.
It was hard to get this list narrowed down. It was hard.
That could be one of your honorable.
That's right.
Yeah. So what's your number? Were we here 4?
4. So I'm going to move over to our other home resort, which is Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I could probably mention every restaurant there as well, because
they're all good.
So, but the first one I'm going to mention is a little different. It's the Concierge Lounge at at Jambo, at Animal Kingdom. With DVC, you can use your points to stay there, and they're not. It's a lot of points. I won't lie, but it's a nice way to like start off your trip. Mm-hmm. So because at least I know some people drop their luggage, go, but we tend to like to get our room and settle in a little bit, so we don't necessarily have to go to a park the first day. So that's a good time to do the concierge lounge, because if you're just going to go to the parks, you're going to miss everything. There's no
if you
point.
get concierge lounge, use the lounge.
Exactly, and you don't really need a dining plan either. So a lot of times we'll stay like 2 nights in concierge, then move over to our larger room over at Kidani, and that way we could get the dining plan for part of our trip.
That's a great tip.
Split stays. Some people don't like them, but we do. So the concierge lounge, it's a full breakfast. I mean, granted, they're not serving you eggs and bacon, but they're up there. You can go get them in normal circumstances. Mm-hmm. And then they have, a latte, cappuccino machine, which I love, and, all kinds of drinks anytime. The drinks are out all the time. And then at certain times of the day, they put out different snacks. So like in the middle of the afternoon, I don't know that you couldn't make a lunch out of it, but I mean, you really could. There's usually like a soup and snacks. I mean, a lot of times there's like, peanut butter and jellies for the kids, or like ham and cheese roll-ups, and then there's goldfish and stuff to make a trail mix. I mean, you really could just eat that. But of course, you could go eat lunch too if you want. And then at night,
request stuff. Can you can Mary go there and say, I only want blue M&Ms?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
You could try. I don't know. They're pretty accommodating. And then at night they have usually 2 like smallish type dishes that are usually from Boma. And they're small samples, but you could eat 10 of them if you want to make a meal out of it.
Yeah.
And then they have dessert later. So I mean, you need to stay and experience the lounge, and
that's all inclusive too. That's included with your room. And they have drinks as well.
Yes, they have drinks, water, soda, and then they have alcohol too. So if you drink alcohol, and you can take stuff back to your room. But the funny thing in there, they have little cubes, sugar cubes for your coffee or tea or whatever, because they have like shaped like mints. Where else can you get Mickey shaped sugar?
Great. I'd love to try that someday. Heck, I'd love to try a DVC resort someday. Never mind. It's just
That's a nice perk, to be able to, because there's very few rooms. There's only 5 of each kind of.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize
that. 5 studios, 5 1-bedrooms, and 5 2-bedrooms. So it's really limited. I mean, you have to get on there 11 months and book it. And usually we don't get it. We get on the wait list, and then usually it does come through.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
I didn't realize it was that exclusive.
Yep.
So my number 4. It's the same trip as my last one with my wife. Instead of it being our final meal, this was our first meal. My wife's very first meal at Walt Disney World. We got there that day. It was for our 25th anniversary, as I said, and we went to the Polynesian. We're staying at Pop. Took the bus to the Magic Kingdom. I think we took the monorail to the Polynesian. But anyways, we were early for our dinner reservation. So I kind of mentioned. We were looking around the gift shop, and did I have an I'm celebrating button on, I'm thinking, or an anniversary? I can't remember, but the guy asked me about it. I'm working in the gift shop. So I said, yeah, it's our anniversary, and it's our 25th anniversary. He goes, oh, there's a message for you. So he took us, this isn't part of the dinner, but it was all part of the experience. So he took us to the phones, and he picked up 2 phones, and he dialed them both at the same time, gave one to me and one to my wife, and it was Mickey Mouse on the other line, congratulating us on our anniversary. It was really cool. So we still had time. We're waiting in the lobby, and you know how they give the free lays at the Polynesian.
Yep.
So I went to the front desk, and I mentioned that it was my wife and I's 25th wedding anniversary, and wouldn't mind if we can get a lei for dinner at Ohana. I explained that we weren't staying there or anything like that. She goes, your 25th anniversary? And I goes, yeah. She goes, hang on, you're not getting a plastic one. Follow me. And she got us real flour make them there of the leis and gave them to us. So it was like such extra magic. My wife's very first trip, her first hours at Walt Disney World. So then we go,
man.
Yeah. So then we go for dinner at Ohana, and she sees our anniversary buttons, and she's like, oh, here, follow us, and gave us the best seat in all of Ohana with the window overlooking the castle. So we were able to watch the fireworks of Wishes from Ohana while we were having dinner. And that is such good food, too, and it's service and everything. But what a way to start off your very first trip to Walt Disney World.
That's a little hard to top, Like,
well,
like,
yeah,
what's that
exactly.
like?
I mean, day 2, they announced there's a hurricane coming and our cruise got canceled. But for the opening day, that was really good.
But she's
Already.
been back since and had a good time.
She's only been back once since, and that was this year. That was this January. So, but we want to do it. She really wants to go again. She's in love with it now. Disney fanatic. Number 5.
All right. Well, you mentioned the one I was going to mention, but was that we went to Le Cellier and we had reservations, and I'm like, let's invite Stan. We got some credits, and Stan's like, well, gee, I already have a dinner. Didn't you eat dinner before you came to eat dinner with us?
You know what? Okay, let's share this one. This will be both of ours because that's on my list as well. That one is on my list, and that was yes. So Ed Busker, who's from what podcast is he from? He's a friend of mine.
The movie one.
Yeah,
I can't think of the name either.
I can't think of the name either. It's not the Disney movie review. The Disney movie review. It is the Disney movie.
Yeah,
review.
Disney movie review. Yep.
Yeah. So he was in town. So I said, hey, yeah, let's go for dinner together. And I was on a solo trip on this time. Mm-hmm. So he goes, yeah. He says, sounds good. So we're gonna eat at the Mexican restaurant in Epcot. So I said, sure, okay. Then Mary messages me and says, you want to come for dinner? I go, Mary, I'm already having dinner planned. She goes, I'm buying. So I go, but I'm already eating. She goes, what time? And I think it was like 5 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah.
And what time were you eating? 7?
I think 7 or 7:30 or something.
Yeah. So she goes, well, do both. I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So I went for dinner at San Angeli Inn. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
In the Mexican Pavilion.
Inside.
Which was awesome. I got to meet Ed's parents, and we had a great dinner. And I'm like, okay, sorry guys, I got to run. I got to get to dinner. So I'm walking very quickly through around. I took the shortcut between through Future World. What's that? International Gateway? No,
you probably just went back, around Future World. Yeah, went through all the countries.
Yeah, towards Future World and then back to Canada. And I run into some old friends on the way there. So they want to take me out for dinner. They, hey, let's go we're going out to eat now. And I said, you know what, I'm on my way to dinner. I just came from dinner. But that was a really good meal. So I get to the Cellier and I made it on time.
Yeah, and I think we had to wait a little bit, I think. But
yeah, we ate it a little bit. And of course it was on the dining plan. So I'm getting that steak. I'm telling you that much.
That's right, the filet, and we had, you got that weird appetizer though.
That appetizer was not good. I'm glad we didn't pay for it. Yeah,
I think I got the soup, and I got the soup. You got to get that, but wasn't it like pork? Wasn't it like 40?
It was like a weird pork thing on a cutting board, and I think they scraped stuff off the grill and slapped it on, smeared it onto a piece of plywood, and said, "Here."
At that time, you should have taken a picture. I think, it's so hard to take pictures in there, though, because the lighting is so bad. Because I remember you were helping me with your phone trying to get some light on something. I still didn't get a good picture of the Duke Kaboom dessert, because it's so dark in there.
This was before Toy Story 3, so it wouldn't have been a Duke Kaboom. It would have been something else.
Really? I thought it was.
But yeah, so that was like something that I learned is... if you're taking a picture of your food and it's in a dark restaurant, everyone at the table take out your cell phones and put it on flashlight mode and shine the light on the food so you can get a decent picture. So that's what we were doing at the Cellier, was using our cell phones to take pictures of each other's food.
That's right. And then I think we all got the filet, because that's might as well get that. That's the most expensive.
Yeah. That was such a good night though. I had such a good time that evening.
I mean, it's you're in a cellar, but everybody wants to eat there. I mean, the food is good. That's definitely. It's not necessarily for the atmosphere though. I mean, it's pretty, but it's not like you're seeing beautiful views of Epcot or anything.
Yeah, but the company was good. That was great about that meal. Was the company was good. I got to hang out with Mary.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay, so that was on my list as well. So I'll cross that one off my list. So you're up again.
Uh-oh.
I think we're number 5 or 6.
So, you might be at 6. I don't know. I reordered mine, so I'm a mess.
Yeah, so number 6. Okay. I hijacked yours.
Yeah,
just like I hijacked your meal.
Okay, so another one of mine is over at Trattoria Al Forno at the Boardwalk, the Bon Voyage breakfast, which is characters, and it's not your typical characters. It's the couple times I've been there a couple times, and it's changed. It was Eric and Ariel and Flynn and Rapunzel. One time they had Elena of Avalor there instead of Flynn, I think, and now Flynn was back the last time I was there. But it's another one where they you book breakfast and you can book later. Like they have breakfast as late as like 11:50 because they're not open for lunch. Yeah.
Okay. So lunches are closed. Okay.
Yeah, so they're open for dinner. You know, they're Italian, and there's no characters at dinner. So you can book, you know, like I said, pretty late. So what we usually do is do that on our checkout day because, you know, again, we're not early folks. So, you know, we're trying to get out of the room by 11, you know, which is when you're checking out, you know how that goes, trying to stuff things and put things away. So we tend to book it, you know, 11:30 even. I think one time we ate 11:50. And, you know, they're still doing the characters. They're still there. And the food there is really good. It's a price fixed menu. So if you happen to get something you don't like, they'll give you something else. You know, it's kind of reminds me of the cruise dining. Because my daughter was insistent that she wanted eggs, and she doesn't, at least at that time, she didn't eat eggs. So she ordered eggs. And I'm like, I told the server, she's, no, I'll bring her the eggs. She brought the eggs, and then she wanted pancakes, and the server brought. And there's a server. I mean, you know, moms know these things.
Yeah.
But there's a great server there that we've had. I think we've had this server every time we go, and her name is Sherry. And she's been to some other Disney parks, so she was telling us about those experiences, you know, going overseas. So that's always cool. And the food there, I mean, I don't know if you've seen pictures of, it's called the Shipwreck Al Forno. It's kind of imagine
it doesn't sound good if you're eating food from a shipwreck.
Oh no, it's... It kind of looks like if you know what a calzone is, you know, like dough with, so, but instead of just having like meat and cheese in it, it has eggs in it because of course it's breakfast. And then it has Sunday sauce, which is their red sauce. And then when they bring it out, it has this like huge fork thing, like Triton's fork or something. You can't, like they let you take a picture of it and then they take that because I guess it's, you know, a weapon or something. But it is very good. You know, and I wasn't sure about it, so I made Steve order it, you know, because that's what I do. If I want to try something, but I don't really sure I want the whole thing, I just make him order it, then I get to try it, and I'm still good if I don't like it. But then the next time we went, she suggested another, the new item, which was Ursula's Cauldron, and that had a certain kind of like sausage, and it had everything in it but eggs. So she's like, well, we'll just add eggs to the top of it, trust me. And so again, I made Steve order it, and I got my standby, which is like the steak and egg. And it was really good too. I mean, it's when a server, you know, kind of tells you order this and add that, you know, it's always kind of nice to have.
Actually, yeah, I have found that if you talk to the servers about what they suggest, they usually know what's good on the menu.
Yeah, because I mean, they get to try it. You know, that's part of, you know. And there, you know, we're not really trying to sell it because, like I said, every price fixed. But it's you start out with pastry, and then, you know, you get coffee, add a mimosa or whatever.
Yeah, I've done that a lot.
It's a nice experience.
At even quick service restaurants, I've done that where I walk in and I'll say, what do you suggest I get today? And they'll tell me that's what I'll get. Because 9 times out of 10, I can't make up my mind anyway. So,
and I mean, they know. They see what people like and what people order. And so it's a good idea to ask them. Of course, then you get someone who says, well, I don't know, I don't eat that.
Yeah.
But
well, if they start asking me to eat sardines or zucchini, then I'll get something else.
Exactly. No zucchini.
So my number 6 is, and this one is more because of the server as well. Not so much the server, the show, I guess. But at Epcot at Teppanito, the hibachi grill, I guess they call it, where they cook in front of you. And again, this was one of our first or second trip with my daughter, and they seat you with, if you're just the two of you, they probably don't do it now, but they seat you with another family. So because there's 6 chairs, so it was a family of 4. And my daughter and myself, and we had such a fun time. We got along with him just wonderfully. Like, we got so great, and he was doing his thing on the grill and flinging stuff around and chopping onions and smoke coming everywhere, and it was just a really, really fun meal.
Yeah, that one is fun. I've eaten there. It's been a long time, but they just teach you with other people, and it's a show. It's a show,
but I'm always afraid of trying it again because what if the people I'm with I don't get along with? The strangest thing. I mean, we were lucky that we had a lot in common. We got along really well, and then we actually ran into each other a couple days later in a different park, and it was really cool because we didn't really know anybody, and to run into somebody you kind of know. It was really neat.
But that's true because, you know, I don't know, probably they wouldn't do it so much now, but when a couple cruises we went on, it was just me and Steve, so we were seated with other people. And one time that really wasn't so great because they weren't very talkative or friendly, you know, so it made it a little less fun.
I went on a group cruise, and a friend of mine was he was going on his own, and he was put with someone else that was on his own, and he did not like the other guy. So it was kind of, he didn't And of course, you're halfway through the cruise, and he's like, I don't even want to go for dinner anymore.
Oh.
So I don't know if they do that anymore, if they put people
I guess
together.
I guess they wouldn't, but.
Because then you're eating every meal together after that.
Right,
So.
yep.
Yeah,
Luckily, my cruise was like 4 days, so it didn't matter. So I think we had Palo or something, so it didn't tend to be too.
Yeah,
too bad,
was a 7-night cruise.
Oh yeah.
So what's your number 7?
Okay, so I saved
or
my
number 1.
Yeah.
Where we're going.
I don't know which way we're going, but this is my all-time favorite, and you probably know what it is. But it's Narcoossee's at the Grand Floridian. It's a signature, so it's a 2 credit. So it's definitely an expensive meal if you're paying out of pocket. But I mean, it's not one experience there. It's just about everything. There is wonderful. There's a server there that we know, and he gives us a gift when we go in January usually from his home. Yeah, he gives us pecans from his caramel covered pecans from his home state because he's from Georgia, and he is just the night. We've heard about his different trips and his mom and his family, and he's wonderful and an excellent server. And then of course, if he's not there, which we try to book when he's going to be there because we know he doesn't work certain nights.
Oh wow, that's really okay. I was going to ask you, how do you keep getting the same people all the time?
Well, he had a little bit of seniority, so he we knew he didn't work like Friday and Saturday nights on purpose. Or like when we're there in September, we'd say, "Are you off anytime in January? We're going to come." So
okay.
Of course, I don't know how he's fared with all the layoffs, so I hope I'm okay.
Yeah, I had just today. A good friend of mine, I heard got let go. Found out yesterday as we're recording this. Yeah, but he also works at Universal, so.
Oh, okay.
So he still has a part-time job, but yeah.
Yeah. So I know that, and Chevy's been there for, he was hired when the restaurant opened. So, and it's been open since the beginning, that restaurant, and it's never been refurbished. So, every year I ask him, are they going to refurbish, because it's old style Florida, and I think it's fine the way it is, of course, and I don't want them to change it, because there's things you'd like to see change. And it's very, kind of, I call it classic food, but some of the food there is just, we tend to get filet and lobster. So I'll order the filet and Steve will order the lobster, and they'll bring it out, splits the lobster tails because they're great about that. But there's an appetizer there called the barbecue shrimp and grits, and they're the most wonderful thing you could ever eat.
Oh boy.
The rest, you can ask for these recipes. So I asked for the recipe and looked at it, because I'm pretty good, I could probably do it, but it takes like 4 days to do all the pieces of it because it has
or 4 people.
Yeah. And the list of ingredients was like the whole first page. I mean, it's, it has a sauce and it has involves cheesecloth and straining and,
So I guess you never made it.
No, I didn't make it.
You still have the recipe?
Yeah, I do. I think about maybe doing it one day. But like I said, every meal there is wonderful. But one year we were there for our trip in September, and it's my birthday. So I can't remember why. We had canceled like a couple days before. Something didn't work out, so we booked again. And it was, I think, the night or the day before we left, maybe 2 days before we left. And Steve did not. Something was going on. He didn't feel well. We had gone to, I think, Epcot that morning, and I'm like, why don't you stay here and, sleep? Of course he wouldn't. So we get to Epcot, and he's like, can we go sit somewhere, sit down somewhere inside? I'm like, okay. So we go in the American Pavilion, and I think we got the worst lunch meal I've ever had in Disney in my life there for me and Nevaeh. And he's like, I need to go. And I'm like, go. Like, he's blind, so he can't get back to the room himself.
Yeah, he's not going to go back on his own, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? And so the cast member, saw us and she's like, you want me to take him to first aid? He looks like he needs to lay down. I'm like, yeah, I think so. So they took him to first aid in a wheelchair, and, we had to finish what we were doing. And so I called him a little while, and he was asleep. And so they just let him rest in first aid.
Oh, wow.
He should have stayed. So they let him rest. So then, of course, we go
Mary goes back to the room at night, forgets all about him, like 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, my God, where's Steve?
Not quite. But, so
I'm like, to Narcoossee's.
Well, yeah, I'm getting to that. Wait a minute now. So, I'm like, okay, let's forget the park here. Let's go back to the hotel so I can get Steve back, get him to lay down. So I'm like, I'm going to take Nevaeh to the pool. So I take Nevaeh to the pool, let her go down the water slide as many times as she wants. So she is so tired. She can barely walk back to the room. She gets herself a shower, goes to bed, and I go to Narcoossee's by myself.
Oh, nice.
I didn't want to miss Narcoossee's. So Chevy actually was off that night because we had switched to a Friday night. But there's another server there. Her name was Chris. Wonderful. So I'm, telling her about everything and ordering it. And she had the chef come out and sit down and talk about it.
Oh,
and
wow.
we talked about the shrimp and grits and the filet mignon
And the cheesecloth and string and...
And the dessert, because there's a dessert there that I actually do have the recipe for and I make. And so we talked about that too. So it was just, they knew I was there, but had come by myself because of my husband not feeling well. And, so they just really kind of special.
Oh, nice.
Have the chef talk to you. It's pretty awesome.
That is really nice. It's funny how none of yours, or your favorite one was when you went on a solo trip. And the majority of my trips are solo trips, and none of mine are solo dinners, solo meals. It's funny.
Well, it goes to tell you, I probably would like a solo. I think
you need to take a solo trip. I think you should. So my final one was on the Alaska cruise with WDW Radio, the first cruise we went on. There was a Disney artist, Imagineer. He works for promotions in the park. He does all the artwork. So if they have banners hanging in the park, or he designed a lot of the gondola wraps, stuff like that. So he was like a special guest on the trip. He's such a nice guy. We had him on the Grand Circle Tour podcast actually. To talk a little bit if you want to go back. Ron Cohey was his name.
Okay,
yeah. And so I was thinking about him one day. I was getting ready to go to Disney World for a trip, and I looked him up, and I managed to get his email address. I contacted a friend, and I said, hey, do you have Ron's email address? So I emailed him, and I said, I'm not sure if you remember me or not, but we were on the Alaska cruise together. I'm coming out to Walt Disney World, and it'd be great if we could, go out for dinner or something. So he emailed me back. He said, you know what? Yeah, I do remember you, Stanley. He said, I would love that. That'd be great. So actually, when I emailed, that was for the Grand Circle Tour podcast. That's right. And that's when he remembered me and said, yeah, I'd love to come on the podcast. So then I said, next time he said, next time in Disney World, I'll go for dinner. So I said, sure. So we went to Sanaa, and I messaged a couple of other friends who were also on that cruise. I said, hey, you guys remember Ron? They go, of course we do. Well, we're going to be going for dinner. Do you want to join us? And they said, yeah. So we all went out to Sanaa, and we got there probably around 5 o'clock, 4:30. And I think we left around 9:30, just chatting and laughing. And of course, Sanaa is a great place to eat as well.
Yes.
They have such good food. And he was drawing pictures for us and telling us all these stories that I probably can't share to the public because not that they're bad, just that they're kind of like behind the scenes. More so. And
I think that was the same year that we ended up meeting, because I was staying there and we were trying to meet, and I messaged you and you're like, well, I'm at this dinner, and I'm like, you're still at the dinner?
Yes, that's right.
You said, I'm still at the dinner.
Still at the dinner, yeah. And I remember it was going to be luckily I did invite those friends of mine because they were local to Orlando, and the buses weren't running anymore. So, or if they would have been, it would have been like long waits to get back to Pop's Entry from Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Right.
So they gave me a ride back to the Pop's Entry.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that because we were like, I'm like, maybe when you're done your dinner, we could, come out, because I was at Kidani.
Yeah. See, if it was today, I'd say come for dinner with us, and you would have joined us. It would have been even more.
Right.
But
Sanaa is a
yeah. So
I like to have lunch there because then you can you can still light out sometimes,
right?
Depending on where you sit.
Yeah. Well, we were there early enough that we were able to see the animals before.
Okay. It was just dark when you left. Okay.
It was dark when we left. Do you have any honorable mentions? We're kind of running out of time here.
I do. Let me be real quick about Sanaa. One time, Nevaeh was so tired there, and she just didn't want. A cast member pushed chairs together, went and got her napkins, put under her head, and some more, and covered her up, and she slept the whole time we ate.
Oh, nice.
One of those cast members, because a lot of it's cast members. Let's see. What else? Boom is another favorite of mine. Breakfast buffet, you got to do it. I don't know if you've ever done that one.
I've done Boma, but not for breakfast. I did it for dinner.
Breakfast is amazing.
Yeah.
Again, I would go late because then it tends to be less crowded. The Wave is another excellent place for the
never
food.
done that one.
It's gotten more popular. Not as popular, but it's good. And I like the Grand Floridian Cafe too. Grand Floridian, it's off the beaten path. You can go kind of have a nice lunch. And their menu is such, or used to be, that they would have brunch and breakfast, brunch, and kind of lunch entree all day, which was kind of nice person.
Very all about what time I can eat late.
Yes.
What time I can have a late breakfast.
Exactly. Well, sometimes you want breakfast.
2 o'clock?
Better.
Is there anything open for breakfast still?
It's a while. But, it's To me, a lot of it, I mean, the food I mean, there's not many times I can say I didn't like the food. But a lot of times it's cast members. So many of them just go out of their way to make you happy or to things or make it enjoyable. And, I always encourage people to talk to them. They have their little buttons with where they're from. Ask them things. They like to talk about, their home, and especially when, we have college kids, they're missing their family. And, they like to talk to people. If I see someone that has a button with Maryland, there was someone at Basin. She works at Basin White, and real young girl. And, she lives like 20 minutes from me. Her family. Oh, wow. So just fun stuff like that. If you know the area or anything, they like to talk about
I don't think themselves. I've ever seen a Winnipeg button on a name badge for any cast member.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, even in the Canadian area, I don't think I've ever seen that. A lot of Toronto.
Toronto, yep.
Yeah, Vancouver.
Vancouver. And then there was a really odd one I had, and I asked her, I wasn't familiar with, of course. It was at Le Cellier. Because, they'll tell you a little bit about the province they're from. Yeah. For myself, I think it's cast members are great, absolutely. But I enjoy good company when I go to eat because usually I'm getting a quick service on my own. I'm having a hot dog at Casey's or something. So I like or a thing of popcorn for an entire day. refilling my refillable bucket all day. That's how often I'll survive on that. Or Mickey
So
bars.
if I'm in the parks, do like Mary did. Say, hey, Stan, you want to come join us for dinner? And I probably will, because I do enjoy good company when I go for dinner.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
Especially, to meet somebody if you talk to them a lot in the various groups or, listen to podcasts, and then you get to meet somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. Any final thoughts, Mary?
No, I hope all the cast members are, know we're thinking about them, and I wish things could be different.
For sure. I heard some bad news today, but I don't want to get into that at the end of the show. So,
I know I missed our trip. We missed our April trip and our September trip, so we're hoping we can go soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully things will start back to some kind of normal, I hope.
No kidding. Okay, Ken, take it away.
If you have a brilliant idea for a future edition of The Solo Show and would like to take your turn in the guest host's chair, then drop us an email at thesoloshow01@gmail.com. Tell us your idea for the show, and we'll contact you about a date and a time for you to join us. If you would just like to keep the conversation going or have a comment about a previous show, then visit us on Facebook at The Solo Show. All logos, sounds, and songs that are made by and for Disney and its affiliates are owned solely by the Disney Corporation and are not, nor are they intended to be, the ownership of The Solo Show podcast. We hope you'll join us for the next adventure on The Solo Show. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.